I got the moves. I got the moves. I'm making moves. You gotta move. You gotta make the city move. Like, whoa. I make the city move. I got the move.
In the 2018-19 NBA season, the Nuggets were arguably the biggest surprise. After missing the playoffs by one game in both the 2018 and 2017 seasons, the Nuggets took a huge leap last season and finished the year as the second seed. And though they disappointed a bit in the playoffs, the hype was real for Denver, and everyone was excited about their future and their amazing young core. But after the major free agency moves of the 2019 offseason, the talk around Denver has somewhat dried up, and I've started to see a lot of people saying Denver will drop off next season, last season was a fluke, all of that. Some people even have them as a 6th or 7th seed at the end of next season, which is crazy. Personally, I believe they will still be a serious contender, and I'll be going over why in today's video. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy the video, please subscribe for more NBA content, but with that all being said, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets had an amazing breakout year last season, surprising everyone by finishing as the second seed in the West and going on a deep-ish playoff run. They were one win away from making the Western Conference Finals. As I stated earlier, people aren't really sure about the Nuggets and if they are able to take the next step so they can become true title contenders. There are a lot of doubts surrounding this team. But I do think this team can prove people wrong thanks to their insane young core, which I trust will further develop and improve next season. Let's talk about the major piece of this young core first, Nikola Yogic. He is the prized possession of the Nuggets organization, the key to their long-term success. Last season, he averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, which is just insane for a big man. In fact, he's such a good passer that only 4 seasons into his NBA career, he's already been solidified as the greatest passing big man of all time. Again, Jokic has only played 4 NBA seasons, he's just entering his 5th, and is about to become an NBA superstar already. He's still extremely young, turning only 25 next February, and has the potential to be an MVP candidate next season. After all these crazy moves this offseason, it seems like everyone has forgotten about the Nuggets and Jokic and how much of a threat they legitimately are. They've proved it by taking Portland to 7 games and winning 54 games last season. But you've heard all the Jokic talk before, how he is primed to be an undoubted NBA superstar by the end of next season, how much better he could become still. So, let's talk about his partner in crime, Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is a really good NBA player, and I mean really good. During the playoffs in the first round, I questioned Jamal Murray. He had some clutch games to close out the series versus the Spurs, and there was a ton of hype surrounding him, some even going as far as calling him a future superstar, which I found ridiculous. And though I still believe it's highly unlikely he becomes a superstar in the league, he did prove me wrong. I didn't believe he could continue the run he was on versus the Blazers, yet he did, and demonstrated how solid of a player he actually is. He averaged 18 points and 5 assists per game last season, but stepped up a ton in the playoffs, averaging 21 points per game and fulfilling the role as Denver's go-to scorer. He closed out multiple games with his insane free throw percentage, 90% during the playoffs, and took over when Jokic was tired. Can he remain at this level throughout next season? There is a good chance in my eyes. Could he become an all-star though? Seeing as he plays at the deepest position in the league and is in the loaded Western Conference, maybe not, but that's not to downplay his talent at all. He's certainly an all-star caliber player and should stop going underrated. The next player in this young core I want to talk about is Gary Harris. Harris was expected to break out last season, but Murray did it instead, and Harris has somewhat plateaued. His points per game dropped, he was less efficient, and lost a good 5 or 6 minutes per game. This obviously is not a good sign, and with players like Torrey Craig and Monte Morris up and coming, things could become worse for Harris next season. And yes, he may never be the star player he was projected to become, but that doesn't mean he's not a solid contributor. Harris put up 14 points per game in the playoffs last season on pretty decent efficiency, and overall helped the Nuggets out a ton in the big moments. He may not be the number 1 or number 2 guy out there, but the Nuggets would not be in the situation they're in without him. And let me just make this clear, none of these have hit their prime yet, and the only guy close to doing so is Nikola Yogic, who has shown himself to the NBA world as an insanely dominant force and potential superstar. They all have such a long way to go. They're all going to improve more over this next season. This squad is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I'm not done yet either. There are still so many more positives about this team that need to be discussed. The depth on the Nuggets is brilliant. They've got a ton of solid rotation players and up-and-comers that add even more to the strength of this team. Guys like Monte Morris, who went from averaging 3 points per game to 10 during last season and was one of the biggest X factors for the Nuggets in the playoffs. Efficient people like Torrey Craig, a decent scorer who shoots over 40% from 3. And of course, their recent addition of Jeremy Grant, a 13 points per game scorer transferred to Denver from the Thunder this offseason. That pickup is a huge dub for the Nuggets. All these guys will play a massive role once players like Jokic and Murray have to take a rest for a bit during games. They are reliable and consistent players the Nuggets management can trust. You can't forget Paul Millsap either, a good defender, decent rebounder, and efficient post player. And then there are the rookies. Bol Bol is the most recent draftee of the Nuggets, and in my opinion, he will be an absolute steal. Bol Bol somehow slid to the 44th pick, where Denver managed to take him off of Miami. Unfortunately, I think it's unlikely Bol Bol becomes a star player in Denver. Players like Jokic, Millsap, Hernan Gomez and Plumlee will take up a lot of his minutes. But I think going here to begin his career is a huge positive for him. Working alongside the great big man Jokic will help develop his game, and once he does get the opportunity to star, his time in Denver will be the reason why he does become a star potentially. Bol Bol is a big project, but he's a low risk, high reward type guy. And for him to start his career alongside arguably the best center in the league is a huge win for him and the Nuggets. Plus, the Nuggets have Michael Porter Jr. too. After all the injuries of MPJ, everyone seems to have forgotten he exists. A lot of people are talking about Zion, Ja Morant, RJ Barrett, etc. for the Rookie of the Year, but if the reports are correct and MPJ is pretty much fully healthy, Porter Jr. might be a dark horse candidate for the Rookie of the Year. No one is talking about him. I know he hasn't been seen in a while, but let's not forget how dominant he was and could be. The Nuggets overall have a great team all around. They have star talent in Jokic and Murray, have the depth to back them up from guys such as Grant, Harris and Morris, and have young prospects for the future in Bol Bol and Michael Porter Jr. The Denver Nuggets just missed the playoffs in 2017 and 2018, and last season proved themselves as a legit NBA contender. And now it seems they're beginning to be slept on again. I'll mention it once more. Ever since all these crazy moves happened this offseason, the Nuggets have been downplayed as poor. Their last season was a fluke. They can't step up onto another level, all of that. It's incredible to see, but in a negative way. I've seen people on my Twitter calling the Nuggets, Nikola Yogic and Jamal Murray overrated, and I don't understand why. These guys are still so young and haven't even hit their prime. The potential for this team is unreal. And no, I don't think this team is better than the Clippers, Lakers, etc. But that doesn't mean they are that much worse than them. I see them as better than the Warriors, Blazers, Jazz, and even the Rockets too. If we're thinking standings, I truly believe the Nuggets could get the 3rd or 4th seed by the end of next season, 5th at worst. This team is the real deal and can easily maintain their image as title contenders throughout next season. But what do you guys think of this? How good will the Nuggets be next season? How many games will they win in your opinion? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.